listening to the LOZ Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the LOZ Podcast Network. We have another segment today. We have a friend of mine who's become a friend. He's also a really good realtor at the Lake of the Ozarks, particularly on the west side. Billy Boulden, Weichert, Lori Realty. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, doing fabulous. We're busy. That's always a good thing.
It's always a good thing to be busy in January in the real estate business, right? Especially at the lake.
Yes, it is. I mean, normally this time of the year, everybody's focusing on everything else because not much is happening. But I'm surprised how many of our agents are, running around and even a little bit frantic going, hey, I had downtime things planned.
Well, I think we get this, I find it usually happens when the holidays fall on a Wednesday or Thursday. So you got the two major holidays, and what people end up doing is they can take a couple days off and usually get about 10 days vacation, right? So I think that bodes well for people that have places at the lake or that are looking for places at the lake because it gives them a lot of time. They can spend some time. And let's face it, I was back home for some of that, and the weather was amazing. So, I mean, you get these 70-degree days in the end of December, and people think about boating, and they're thinking about docks and houses. That doesn't hurt, does it?
No, we've, and that's something that people don't think about is, does weather really affect real estate? Oh, absolutely. People who are coming to the lake, they don't show up when the weather's crappy. And even the locals, if the weather's really bad, they only leave to go to the bar or restaurant or to raid the grocery store. So when the weather's really nice, it bodes well for our buyers and sellers alike.
And I think too, the lake, obviously used to close down in the winter. You might have a little shoulder season, but now with the full-time residents, the increase in full-time residents, the increase in just shopping. I mean, I remember 20 years ago, you had a hard time finding bread and milk on on an off season in January. But now, I mean, everything's there. It's really become a full-time atmosphere. And I think that kind of helps even out the mountains and valleys of real estate as you get into the winter months.
Absolutely. And it's had a big impact on real estate. It's not nearly as seasonal as it used to be. Is this seasonal? Of course it is. It still is. But when I got into real estate here about 8 years ago, you drove through Lori on Highway 5 on a Sunday during the winter. It was a ghost town. Now, the restaurants are open. Back then it used to be if you wanted to go to a restaurant, you had 3 to 5 to choose from on the whole west side. Now we've got, a dozen and a half.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I just talked with John over at Trattoria, and he's got a lot of stuff that's going on there. He's got that new Oak and Ember cigar and bourbon bar. I mean, there's some really cool things going on the west side. I mean, it's really emerging as, it used to be, where are we going to go across the bridge to go at dinner? Now we can stay right here. There's a lot of opportunities. So that's awesome for the west side, I think.
Speaking of La Trattoria, are you familiar with our West Side socials?
Yeah, I'm actually a sponsor. The LOZ app is going to be a sponsor of a West Side Social in April.
Cool. So I realize you're aware, but our listeners may not be. Our West Side socials have moved from Thursday to Wednesday nights. They're going to be at La Trattoria, and they're going to start at 5 p.m. I don't have the full schedule sitting in front of me, but I believe it's the third Wednesday of each month.
Yeah, and
really
it's a great time to get out. I don't care if you're in business or you're just part of the community. The West Side Social is always a fun party, and I'm excited for John at the Trattoria to have those over there because I think it's a cool space.
Yes, it is. And, we've built a great relationship. We love working with them, and we're glad to be back over there. Nothing against any of the other places. We've enjoyed all of them. It's just that's a unique environment and a great relationship we have. He really supports the West Side, and we want to, and that's why we kept this going after other people needed to pull back. They had other responsibilities. We feel that the West Side community needs that. And it's important to keep those relationships going between the local business owners, the influencers, the movers, the shakers, and those who just want to come out and enjoy themselves.
Yeah, I think, the thing that's really interesting to me is that, there's so many different markets within the lake market, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you've got Osage Beach, you've got the West Side, you've got Camdenton, you've got Eldon. Let's throw Lebanon in now. I mean, there's so many different places that are around the lake. What do you see that's kind of unique to those different markets, particularly in the West Side, since that's where you're located?
Well, and within the different markets, we have territorial markets, just like you were talking about. So we have the Gravois Mills market. And then you also have the market that's down O Road. We have uh, here in the Lorry and out into Cartwright Cove. And then beyond that, you have another market that's also um, out there, which is Eagle Bay, Mallard Bay, and then you get into Ivy Bend. And each one of these markets are different, unique. Each one of them represent different price points, different expectations, different lake experiences. But even within these markets, a lot of it depends on what I will call financial markets. If you're looking for a piece of land with a home or some land to put a home on for some privacy, that's a completely different market than if you're looking at lakefront or lake view. And each one of those markets have different price points. Each one of those markets have different expectations. But what is fun here about the west side is you're still going to have that small town feel. Whether you're sitting on 15 acres or whether you're sitting on a quarter acre and you're looking at a beautiful lake view,
Yeah, and
you
there's
still have that.
some of the best shoreline is on the west side. I mean, if you like, you don't want to be in the middle of the craziness, you can really find some amazing shoreline opportunities on the west side. And I think the knock always used to be, well, there's just not enough to do on this side. There's not enough places to buy food. There's not enough, but now that's changed, and it's completely sits on its own. You can go to the Osage Beach and play and all that stuff, but you can come back to the west side and just kind of hang out and be perfectly fine there too. So I think it's awesome.
Especially since the toll bridge is no longer in place. The amount of traffic on MM has tripled or more. So it creates great access to go to the big box stores. If you're working on um, your dock and you need something in one of our local hardware stores on this side, I'm sure one of the big box stores on the other side has it. If you really need to go find um, a food item because you've got family coming over and you got a special recipe, well, guess what? We can accommodate that too. It just requires an extra 15 minutes of drive time to get to the other side of the lake. However, the west side of the lake is growing, and it's growing much quicker than the east side of the lake. Part of it is because we have room to grow. The east side has become financially a little bit harder to expand into. And on top of it, it's getting much, much harder to find land and, for business, commercial, or even private needs that's affordably priced.
Yeah, and what do you see in 2026? Give us your Billy Boulden forecast for the 2026 market.
I'm extremely optimistic. There are a number of key indicators that I tap into a lot of people who are a lot smarter, a lot more knowledgeable, and with lists of degrees a lot longer than anything I possess. Um, and they're all indicating very good signs. Interest rates are creeping down, and I mean that creeping down. They're not falling, and that's a good thing. That means our economy is stabilizing. We're expecting rates to continue to come down through the rest of this year. We're not going to see 3-4% again. I think that's unrealistic. And once you get down below 4%, that's actually not healthy for the economy. It would create backlash when things reverse and go the other direction. If we can keep it down in the 5-6% range, that's very healthy. Um, that reduction in rates is improving consumer confidence. Plus, consumer confidence is gaining a ground overall. It's slow and steady, which again is good for the long term economy. People are starting to realize we have survived the grand adventures of the tariffs and rules and regulations changes, administration changes. Um, people are getting back into their daily lives. Spending power is improving. One of the things that really hurt us over the last year and a half is first-time buyers didn't have the buying power. Inflation had outpaced their earnings growth, and as their income was growing slightly, but inflation was growing a lot, their buying power went down, and so they got priced out. But now we have better rates. We've got better inventory than we've had in 2 years. And on top of it, now our office has at least developed some great relationships with some builders and some developers.
Yeah, look, guys, it's real easy to find Billy. You go into the LOZ app, you go into the real estate section. He's right there. His listings are there. His open houses are there. You can call him. You can text him. You can email him. Heck, you can go by and just see him if you want to drive through Lori. He'll take you an appointment for a walk-in, won't you?
Yes, absolutely. And even if I'm not available, I've got 14 expert agents here that can take care of them as well. We are your West Side experts. We love and live on the West Side. We work on the West Side. And the one thing I will say that's most important to us is we're old-fashioned. What do I mean by that? It's golden rule. We treat people the way we want to be treated. Come in, be treated like friends and family, because if you're part of our West Side community, you are friends and family.
Well, there you have it. I couldn't have done a better commercial for you myself. Go see Billy on the West Side. Make sure you get out and get his expertise on what's going on in the real estate market. Billy, we'll have you back on again real soon. I love all your insight. Thanks again for joining us on the LOZ Podcast Network.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, guys, we'll be right back after these messages.